When's the last time you and Michael spoke?
We called him Michael.
Right around the pandemic.
Oh, so it's been a minute since you.
Yeah.
Is that the text exchange when he shot you a text May of 2020 and he said, "Hey, Scottie, I heard you're upset. Let me know when you have a minute to speak." Is that the last time you guys spoke?
Something like that.
Something like that. And did you actually call him? Like, did you guys talk or did you just text him?
Scottie Pippen.
No, I think we ended up speaking briefly.
Did it end up being good, the conversation?
Yeah, I guess. Good and final.
That's what it was. Good and final. Because of you or because of him?
Yeah.
Hey, man, I know this is a side note, but I think Scottie Pippen look a little cooler now than he did back in the 90s. And usually when older dudes be wearing like braids and stuff like that, they be looking corny. For some reason, he don't look corny. I don't know why.
I don't want to pick because of who. It's just
Got it.
good and final.
What's more likely to happen? Me going to Carbone in the next 5 years. Carbone in Miami. I don't know what's your favorite restaurant. Let's say Flagler's in Palm Beach because it's closer to golf. Is it more likely of me seeing Michael and Barkley having dinner at Flagler's in Breakers, Palm Beach? Or is it more likely for me to see you and Michael having dinner in the next 5-10 years at Flagler's?
I don't know what kind of dream you be having. But,
What do you think, though? Which of those two is more likely to happen? There's a Vegas odds. Like, we're trying to bet some money here on this one.
I don't know. That's a tough one. I don't spend that much time in Florida, so I would probably say maybe highly likely, maybe Charles.
Over you.
Yeah.
Got it. It's
He's digging.
It's
We got to accept the fact that Michael Jordan and Scottie Pippen are not friends. We just got to accept that. I know when we think about the legacy, we think of Jordan, we think of Pippen, we think of all the amazing memories. But, bro, it's just like it's almost like Boys to Men or, all these different bands and groups that were back in the day together. You know what I'm saying? Like, and we want it to be, a great memory of, like, the way we see it because they are our favorite band or group or whatever. You know what I'm saying? But the reality is the reality.
That's wild. And would you say a big part of it is The Last Dance and how that was portrayed? Would you say that was it? Would you say, because I sit there and I watch, for me, Kobe. I had Kobe at one of our events, the late Kobe. I love Kobe. Kobe and I are 6 weeks apart, our birthdays, and
Wow.
I watched him play. We had a relationship at the tail end of his, not even career, his life. And it was a great moment. And he said some stuff about Shaq, and then Shaq and I had a conversation together years later, and it was great. And my son, till today, he's met a lot of different people. His favorite athlete he likes to talk about is Shaq. Shaq is his, Dylan loves Shaq.
Yeah. That's
So, and then when you saw that one interview with Shaq and Kobe, they're sitting across from each other, right? That conversation that took place. And then you saw one with Magic and Isaiah. I don't know if you remember those interviews that they did like 10 years ago, something like that, 8 years ago, 10 years ago. It was great to see Shaq and Kobe together. It was great to see
it was awesome.
Isaiah and Magic together, where Isaiah got emotional and he got up and they hugged each other, and that whole thing with the two of them. Why is the tension so high with anything related to Michael? You and Michael,
He's
Barkley
really
and Michael.
digging. He's an expert journalist.
I don't know. I mean, I just think that Michael is a very difficult person to deal with. I played with him for years, so I know that, when it's time for you to move in your direction, then go in your direction. Don't sit there and try to procrastinate or stretch it. That the relationship is
Good point.
not where it was or not what it used to be, and it's never going to be the same. So why try and make something out of nothing, or try to make something that was never there? So,
Yeah.
great teammate, but we just never were great friends.
Never, even when you guys played.
No.
So when you guys were at the Dream Team, that one clip when Ahmad Rashad asks and says, you know which one I'm talking about, when Ahmad says, hey, Michael, question for you. 3 seconds left, fourth quarter. Who do you want to get the ball to go shoot whatever? And he says, me. You know which clip I'm talking about? He says, Ahmad Rashad, and he says,
Yeah.
no,
kinda.
you. He says, yeah, what kind of a question is that? And then you guys are getting off the bus. He says, Scott, this is the one right here. I don't play the clip. Actually, you know what? You may be able to play the clip. Yeah, play the clip here. Do we have audio or no, Rocks? I can't hear that. Back up a little bit.
Dumb question. Who would take the last shot?
Me.
That's a dumb question. Me.
So, and then if you want to pause it, and this is, I think it's the right moment while you guys are getting off the bus and saying, where's Scottie? We got to go play golf. Where's Scottie? I think he's having that conversation. Did you guys golf a lot together or no?
Never.
You guys never golf.
No.
So who was he talking about to go golf with him, Rob? Wow, you guys never golfed together.
No.
So when you guys played together, how often was it for you guys to have dinner together?
You know what? It's really not. It's really not that hard to imagine that they weren't really friends like that, because I'm not going based on their game. But when you have two alphas in the same room, I'm not saying Scottie Pippen was an alpha or not. Maybe not. But some people are not alphas and they still perceive themselves to be the alpha, or they want to be number one. And when you got somebody else and two grown men in the same situation, they both highly talented, highly skilled, and the other person feels like they should have the other person's position, it's going to be a little bit of a rivalry there, or it might be a little something there. And sometimes you can have sometimes people could be good coworkers and that's it. So they were good teammates and that's it. Y'all know what I'm talking about. Some people are just meant to be your coworkers and you have a good relationship with them at the job, but ain't no point in trying to spend some time with them outside of that job and things like that.
I mean, we may have like a pre-game meal or something like that, but it's always a big party of people.
How many times did just you and Michael have dinner in Chicago? Chicago has a lot of great... Scottie, stop it. Scottie, stop it.
Never.
You and Michael never had dinner together one-on-one?
No.
You could tell he's so uncomfortable by these questions, bro. And Patrick, PBD has something that I'm not saying I don't have, or I'm gonna say that I don't have. PBD he could do something that I wouldn't feel comfortable with doing, which is probably why he's so much better at what he's doing than what I'm doing. Is once I perceive somebody's uncomfortable, I move on. Like I go on to the next thing. He been uncomfortable since we first started the video, bro. He been uncomfortable the whole entire time. I wouldn't have been able to. I'm not gonna say be able to, because I can do anything. You know what I'm saying? But I'm saying like it'd have been difficult for me to push through. No, I would have let me switch to another. Let me talk about something you're more interested in, because you already know how this happens. It gets taken out of proportion. Clips of this gets cut out, taken out of context, posted on these different platforms, and now Jordan and him got a beef again, because they were beefing like a couple years ago.
Michael's house just sold, the one in Chicago.
Yeah.
Right? I think it sold for like $9.6 million or some number like that, if I'm not mistaken. We like the house. We were interested, but possibly doing something with that because of the history in it. How often did you guys hang out in that house, go shooting, basketball, talking, mentally getting ready for the playoffs?
They weren't friends.
I never shot basketball there. I actually would go over in the morning when Grover was training. We would train together.
Scottie, can you get the mic a little bit closer?
I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I was actually, I would train with Michael. I guess the last 3 championships that we won, we trained together at his house. But other than that, we didn't really put a lot of time in away from basketball. Most of our time was spent, whether we were working out or on the practice floor.
I do want him to go into more detail. I'm not gonna lie. I really do.
That's so wild to me because, that feedback was given sometimes about Kobe. That Kobe wasn't a guy that hung out with his teammates. first run that he had. And then Phil, the story about Phil brings Michael in and he says, hey, Michael, I want you to meet Kobe. And Kobe says, I beat you one-on-one if we played one-on-one, right? That exchange. And then Kobe eventually, you can tell him and Pau became best of buddies, brothers, family. You see Pau with Vanessa, with family. It's emotional, all of that stuff. Wow. That's hard to believe, Scottie. Would you say he was such a... Oh, man, that's... Because sometimes when a guy is such an alpha at the highest level,
that's all I was thinking. Like
the idea sometimes to lead your guys is be close enough to influence, but far enough to not make them too comfortable with you.
You know what? I feel like PBD is talking about himself right now. Obviously, he's up. I think, and from my understanding, I think he's a billionaire, bro. So I think he's talking about himself, and yeah, it makes a lot of sense when somebody has a goal in mind, they're super alpha and stuff like that. They ain't got time to be friends and stuff like that, because when you're everybody's friend, you can't really tell them. I'm not saying you can't, but let's think about it. I mean, for the most part, when you're everyone's friend, you can't really tell them straight up how you feel and the things you need to get done and stuff like that. Because part of having a lot of friends and people wanting to be around you is that you're easygoing, is that you're friendly. You know what I'm saying? You're enjoyable to be around. If you're trying to be a winner, you're trying to win at the highest level of competition, trying to be a champion, trying to be the best business or the best team or whatever, you ain't got time to be friendly with everybody and be everybody's friend and enjoying it. And listen, you got to tell them things they don't want to hear. And the more you tell people stuff they don't want to hear, the less likely they're going to want to be around you. You got some situations, some people that they're wired a certain way where they will want to be around you more if you correct them because they like being corrected and they like that type of structure. But for the most part, the people who have the most friends or the people who are the most likable are the ones who not really too anal about things and they let things slide. It's not that serious and they joke about everything. So I can see why Jordan was such a difficult person to deal with, because he seemed like the type of person that cared more about winning than relationships, if that makes any sense.
Machiavelli talks about that. A lot of leaders talk about that, and it doesn't make sense to the average. It's kind of like, what are you talking about? Is go build a relationship, go build a bond, et cetera, et cetera. Some guys go that route. I wonder how much of that was more from his analysis of, listen, I'm above, I'm the leader, I'm the head guy here, and he didn't want to get too close to his guys. Especially if you're saying you guys never had dinner together, Scottie?
No.
And you never golfed because you weren't a golfer? Are you a decent golfer?
I think a little bit of both. I'm decent, but I didn't really care for the game much when I played.
When season ended and it's off season, how often did you guys hang out in off season?
0.
Who was your guy? Was it more Horace? You and Dennis? You and
probably
BJ
more
Armstrong?
Horace when I was there. I was probably more Horace.
Who was close to Michael on the team?
Steve Kerr? No, not Steve Kerr.
Him and
Jackson.
BJ were close. I mean, when he came back to that one practice when BJ and him speaking and saying, hey, come and shoot a little bit.
Oh, BJ Armstrong?
I don't know about that one, but if you say so.
Well, no, listen, if I'm saying it, I'm just saying it because I read about it. I don't know if I have the credibility of having been there. I just read about it.
It's like so difficult trying to get an answer out of Scottie Pippen. You should have just moved on a long time ago, bro. Like, I'm gonna try to play a little bit more to see if he. I don't think he's gonna get any answers out of this. I want to play a little bit more. I kind of want to end it here, the video here. But it's like, if I leave too early, he might say a gem. He might say something that was worth listening to. Because sometimes with certain people, you ask them enough, bro. You just ask them enough. They really want to talk about it, but they ain't trying to be messy. And you ask them enough, and you just keep on asking, and they finally tell you how they really feel. And it could be that. It could be he just uncomfortable, or it could be he wants to talk about it, but he already know the consequences, how everybody... what's gonna happen if he talks about it for real and the drama that can come, but he probably really want to talk about it. If it's the latter, if it's you know what I'm saying, that, then he's gonna start talking about it most likely.
I mean, there were times when guys that were brought in that kind of bonded with Michael, Sam Vinson, Darrell Walker, but those were veteran players that had been around him probably previously, probably from college. But as far as players that he played with in the 90s, he didn't really bond with players on that team.
But I thought he was good friends with Oakley. I thought him and Oakley were very
Oakley
good.
wasn't on that team.
But Oakley from the beginning era when he was coming up. Wasn't Oakley
He's cool.
one of his
Barkley-
teammates when they got
Barkley
rid of him?
too.
He was upset about it because he liked Oakley and they had a friendship together.
Yeah, that's the story that's was told, but
He ain't going.
I don't know where that relationship is today.
Oh, okay. Well, I don't know what that relationship is today, but I don't know which story it was when one time you guys are playing the Knicks and he says, "Hey, Oak, let's go have dinner together." Oh, this was part of his Hall of Fame speech, if I'm not mistaken, when Pat Riley said, was it Pat Riley? Was it
Pat didn't want the Knicks players hanging out with us.
Well, Pat ran it like a mob boss. Pat wasn't a regular, he was and then Michael's like, "What do you mean? No, I can't because I'm with the Knicks." So Pat Riley offered him the greatest respect you can have for great players to show him none. During the 1993 Eastern Conference Finals between the Knicks and the Chicago, Riley's comment was in response to Bulls' complaints about officiating. Go a little bit lower. Riley believed that players should be hardworking and disciplined. Riley's supposed to work with the Knicks, who advanced 94 final. Riley is considered one of the greatest NBA figures of all time. He won 7 championships. Yeah, and he
It almost sounds like a slave owner, to be honest. That's what it sounds like. Slave owners who pay their players millions of dollars, but they collect billions themselves. But nonetheless, that's what it kind of sounds like to me.
owns the patent on three-peat, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
Rob, who was Michael's best friend in the NBA?
Barkley?
I don't know. You got Charles Barkley.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking, yeah.
While they played.
I don't know.
By the way,
Oh.
so we can, transition to the next story, but I'll tell you how I process this. And Scotty, whatever I say, please tear it apart. Don't just kind of let me get away with saying this here.
Go
Okay, I
ahead.
want you to tear it apart and
did.
say you have no clue what you're talking about. So there's no way a guy does what Michael did. The number of scoring titles, Finals MVP. One guy who was the MVP, Finals MVP, Defensive Player of the Year, and he's only 4 people have ever done that, and he's the only guy that's done it 4 times. The one that we all read about and we all see about. And a number of seasons, he played 82 games, and the phrase about the fact that I'm not going to miss a game because a father, maybe the only game he's bringing a son over to the game, that I'm going to go out there and give my best because I owe it to that father that brought his kid. And being a guy that was a sportsman, the face, taking it to different eras. There's something that he said at the end of The Last Dance. And I'm curious to know how you process this, because I don't know if anybody's asked you of this. Remember at the end when he gets emotional and he steps away and he says, "Look, if you can't understand me, that we did this and I wanted to win and I wanted to do this and da-da-da-da." And that was the only time that he got emotional and he got away. How did you process that moment when he's looking at that iPad and he's kind of giving a message?
Man,
and
you should have knew he was going to ask questions about Jordan coming up there, bro. It's almost like when Dame Dash goes on an interview, they're going to ask questions about Jay-Z. Even if Dame Dash be wanting to go past it, get past it, bro, he don't want to talk about Jay-Z no more. But it's like when you think about Dame Dash, you think about Jay-Z. Unfortunately, when you think about Jay-Z, you don't really think about Dame Dash. Same with Jordan. When you think about Pippen, you think about Jordan. But when you think about Jordan, you don't think about Pippen. You think about Jordan's accomplishments.
needed a break.
I'm sorry, but that's
I
how
didn't
it
see
is.
it.
You didn't watch The Last Dance?
I didn't see that part of it.
So you didn't watch all the 10 episodes?
No.
After what episode did you stop watching it?
First.
Probably 6, 7.
He ain't gonna get no answers. I'm done with this video, bro. He not gonna tell us anything meaningful. He gonna be real. He gonna answer like a politician the whole entire time, bro. You know what I'm saying? Which, rightfully so. He has that right. He has that right. But I'm not gonna sit here and continue to, waste my time and anybody else's time trying to hoping and wishing that he gonna say something. He ain't gonna say nothing about none of that. You know what I'm saying? And I understand. I understand. I do understand. So.